want you to hit me as hard as you can.
Do you remember the very first horror movie that had like a profound effect on you that really scared you?
You know, the first movie I ever saw was a movie called Murder by Death. Now, this is not a horror film per se, but it is, had scary elements to it. The idea is that all the greatest murder mystery authors of all time are invited to this creepy, scary mansion to solve a murder. It's creepy and funny, and I think that's the first time I got a taste for that combination of funny, scary.
My dad was really good at sort of introducing me to things almost by decade. So it started with the black and white movies, and then we started creeping into color. But the one that definitely had the biggest effect on me and made me lose sleep was the original Elm Street. It was such a weird mix of horror and humor. So 1 second you're completely terrified, and then Freddy comes out with a one-liner or has some moment and it has you bending over laughing. So I think that combination really got to me. I could not sleep that night.
The original Nightmare on Elm Street, just because I remember watching that on AMC, and it terrified me as a kid.
This isn't really a horror movie. I mean, I wasn't scared by it, but this is the end.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, this is Seth Rogen. You know,
scary. That demon.
That's awesome.
Or Haunted House. That's another funny one.
I think the one that still, I still have nightmares about is The Shining. I mean, I don't think I'm ever gonna let go of that image of the twin girls in the hallway with the blood. I mean, it was just so surreal and unsettling because it was borrowing from dream logic, I guess. That one was scary.
I think it was H2O Halloween when I was very little, and maybe it was one of my first sleepovers, and everybody thought it would be a good idea to watch that, and I think I was traumatized.
Growing up, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre was amazing. Just as an entertainment, but also the way that the social commentary was there. Also with Night of the Living Dead.
I remember watching Hammer horrors as a kid. They'd be on really late on a Sunday night. I remember seeing lesbian vampires, and where they'd bite you on the boob. Yeah. And I just knew that there was something sexual about that, but I didn't know. There's something sexual about Dracula, actually, a guy coming and biting your neck, which incidentally is really hot.
This is not considered a really scary movie, but there was something so existentially haunting about this film that really, it captivated me, but it was a chilling experience watching it, which was never-ending story. I mean, the idea of the nothing and just that wolf creature and call my name or say my name. It was such an intense viewing experience for me as a kid. And then kind of a more classic movie, that I would say is Nightmare Before Christmas. I mean, Nightmare Before Christmas is an amazing, amazing movie.
The first movie I really ever remember is watching Dumbo, which you wouldn't necessarily qualify as a scary movie, but there are some scary scenes when those sort of punk kids are bothering Dumbo, and Dumbo's mother gets upset. And then, the guy comes in with the whip and is putting chains on the mom. That was scary.
The first movie I saw at age 4 was Wuthering Heights.
Oh,
so a gothic romance, really, and it made me scared, fascinated, blah blah blah, and the idea with Crimson was to try to give a little back of that.
I think the conditions and age at which you see things kind of really sort of mulled that first impression of what you think of those movies. I saw The Exorcist when I was 6 years old, and it traumatized me, and Alien at age 8. But then even 2001, I watched it when I was 11, and I was like, oh, this is really boring. And then I watched it again at 15, and I was like, oh my God, this might be my favorite movies. But yeah, Alien was the movie that made me want to be a director.
Like The Exorcist. I mean, I'm a Christian, and when you start talking about religious stuff, I've read the book, and I'm like, woo-woo, that can happen, But yeah, The Exorcist was probably the one that really jolted me.
Psycho. My parents were watching it, and I snuck into their room and hid behind a chair. And then I remember the scene when Norman Bates, and he's dressed as his mother, and he comes charging down the stairs at the end of the movie with the knife raised. I screamed at the top of my lungs, and they realized I had been in the room the entire time. And then it just became an obsession. I convinced my dad to let me watch as many horror movies as I wanted, and so the weekends would roll around, and I would watch 5 or 6 horror movies every single weekend.
One was Gargoyles. And the other one, do you
Wait,
remember?
the original Gargoyles?
Yeah.
I loved Gargoyles.
Yeah, it scared
That
me.
was like Stan Winston's first job.
Is that right?
Yeah.
And the other one that still creeps me out to this day was a title simply...
Oh, yeah.
The snake
Oh,
movie.
my God.
Noted.
Jaws.
Still affects me. I am not comfortable swimming in the ocean. I can scuba dive. I go scuba diving, but the idea of swimming on top of the water, no. That even the poster of Jaws going out to get this, no, thank you.
I read an article in Reader's Digest about Night of the Living Dead. I was sitting in my bathroom where you read Reader's Digest and reading about this movie. I had not even seen it, about people being disemboweled. And that was a new one. You know, Herschel Gordon Lewis, 2000 Maniacs, he took it the next step, really showing graphic, like lots of blood and body parts. George Romero took it the next step. And I remember thinking, I don't want to see that movie. I don't think I can see that movie.
I love to be like affected by really scary movies, so I kind of like look to be freaked out and scared. So I anyone that I see tends to stay with me for a minute.
Horror films are, it's that forbidden fruit. You're not supposed to see them. You know, your parents sort of shield you from them. You're not old enough to see them. But I had a brother, or I have a brother, who's 7 years older than me, and he would rent horror movies with his friends, bring them home, and show them to me unbeknownst to my mom. So it was awesome. I would say one of the bigger movies was probably Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors.
Sure.
Was a big one for me. And another big one was a direct-to-VHS film called Truth or Dare, A Critical Madness.
Oh, wow.
Have you ever seen that?
I don't think so.
Oh, it's wonderful. It's so good. Have you ever seen Who Can Kill a Child?
Yes.
That's great.
Brilliant. They
Okay.
remade that a few years ago, and they shouldn't have.
They did, didn't they? What was it called?
It was.
It wasn't
I can't
Children at
remember,
Play,
but it was
was it?
very similar. It was like almost like a shot-for-shot scenario, but it was not the same.
Bummer.
Well, what are your stand on remakes? I mean, obviously you were in one that was pretty successful and a different enough take.
I tend to have a relatively blanket feeling about remakes that I'm against them, but there's always exceptions.
Yeah.
I mean, even Zack Snyder's Dawn of the Dead remake, I think is a strong remake. Let Me In, the remake of Let the Right One In, very well done. It's not better than the original, but it was very well done. It was clearly made with reverence. So there's exceptions to the rule. I just, more often than not, I just don't feel like there's a reason to do it. I'm almost more amenable to it if the original film wasn't great to begin with, or if it was sort of a B-grade film. That's interesting. Like, to take something that wasn't awesome and has a fan base, but to do something and to actually make it better. But like Poltergeist, they're talking about remaking The Exorcist.
Yeah.
Like, come on.